Good afternoon and welcome down to a very bright and beautiful Betty's Bay. My name is Jax. I'm going to be a naturalist down here at Penguin Beach. We have Jason behind the camera, his first day in quite some time. And we are down here at Oyster Catcher Cove, ready to spend an hour with you and our African penguins. So we're going to go have a look at our penguins to the right of us down here at Oyster Catcher Cove. And as it is every day, today is a live show, so please send us in your comments and questions. You can use that, or you can use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter to do that. You can submit comments and questions on YouTube, and you can also go onto our channels page and do it there. Kids email us at kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. And we got some really cool questions yesterday for World Oceans Day. I hope that you guys really enjoyed our Untitled show and spending a bit of time with Igor on his last day. After the show, we went and had just a little bit of a swim to enjoy the water here. We've had uncharacteristically hot weather over the last few days, but we do have a storm coming in over the weekend. So we're going to enjoy our last few summery days before we get a proper Cape storm coming in. The penguins are basking in the sun this morning. Let's go have a look at the weather report before we get stuck into today's show. So you can see that our conditions are perfect today. The swell is supposed to be at about 1.5 to 2 meters, so it's fairly flat for winter. The sea is a beautiful blue today. It actually looks like the visibility is quite good. You can see the kelp below the blue. And I am here with you up until the 19th, so is Jason. So Byron has gone off to the bush, and during this time there's so much happening. We've got hyena week in the bush. Unfortunately, we have no hyenas here. But what I want to do, and I've spoken about it before this week, is I want you to let me know where you're from, and we're going to talk about the different animals that occur in different areas of the world. And I'm going to start today off with Canada, because I believe Arctic Circle might be from Canada. If not, Arctic Circle might be from the US. But we are going to look at what occurs here and what also occurs in those waters, because a lot of the wildlife that we have around the world is actually fairly similar. So things like our African penguins are only found in South Africa, and penguins are actually only found really in the southern hemisphere. But there are a lot of bird species and a lot of other animal species that you will find worldwide. And if they are not the same species, then they would be similar species. They would be family, they'd be related. And we're going to be talking about that this week. We also have Father's Day coming up on the 19th. We've got lots to talk about.
My name's Liam Henderson. I'm a guide at the Homestead Lodge on Nambiti Private Game Reserve in KwaZulu-Natal. I think Safari Guide of the Year is a great competition to be a part of. I'm somewhat nervous for the tracking part of the competition, as being in KZN now, haven't been exposed to the low-felt animals and tracks and signs that are so apparent up there.
Are you a fan of the Djuma clan? If the answer to this is yes, then you are cordially invited to our Hyena Hullabaloo starting on the 13th of June. During this week, we want to take a trip down memory lane. Please send in your favorite Djuma clan moments to hyena@wildearth.tv by the 7th of June, and we will dig into our archives and try our hardest to play it out during this week of hyena celebrations.
So we had two penguins who were having quite a tense argument. Ruth, I think most of our penguins are happy flappy today. These two look like they are having an argument. But thank you for watching. Welcome to the show. And yesterday on World Oceans Day, I knew that there was an unanswered question that I hadn't answered and I couldn't think of it. And it was the question about why an arum lily is called an arum lily. And arum is actually a family of plants that occurs in Europe and North Africa and in Asia. And it looks exactly like the leaf of an arum lily. So arum lilies look very much like the arum family. And that is why their common name is the arum lily. And lily, like I'd mentioned on the show, was a lot to do... Is that a bird having a bath, or is there a seal there? Sorry. So just in line of where that boy was, there was a bird who was like shaking and going crazy. It was a cormorant. He looks like he's having a very dramatic bath. This bird actually looks like Igor and I when we got into the water yesterday, because it was very hot, and so we were both enjoying the cool water. So that's the unanswered question from 2 days ago that I neglected to be able to tell you. I think that's either a Cape or a bank cormorant. And one of the species that is found in many areas worldwide are these cormorants and these shags. And I was having a look because I thought that we would have shags in the Americas, and then I figured out I was wrong on that. But biologically, they haven't been able to really isolate cormorants from shags. So it's the same grouping. It's the cormorant family. And what people did is, if it had a bit of a crest, then they would call it a shag, alluring to the crest. And otherwise, they would call them cormorants. So it was often sailors who were discovering these different species of cormorant around the world, very common on islands. And so we have 4 different cormorant species here in South Africa, or 4 marine-based cormorant species, certainly. And what's very interesting, when I was trying to kind of get to the root of cormorants, because what I'm trying to look at is, what are the common ancestors, and, where are these birds all coming from? And I wasn't able to find all that much information yet, so I'm going to keep looking at cormorants and common ancestors. But what I did find is that the adaptions of cormorants is what we call convergent. So all cormorants around the world have a lot of these similar looks and these similar traits, but that sort of adapted separately. So it came after they had a common ancestor. And it seems to be a very good body shape, and a very good way to be one of the most recent ancestors of modern birds. Has a body exactly like a cormorant. And in Canada, there are 3 species of marine cormorant around. So there's the great cormorant. And then what I found very interesting is that there is a pelagic cormorant species. It's called the pelagic cormorant. And then there's also the double-breasted cormorant in Canada. You also get the brand cormorant. Sorry, I forgot about that one.
Question, Ollie.
So we've just had a question, but I'm just going to ask our lovely director Chulu to repeat it. I didn't quite catch it. So cormorants are born with very, actually they're born almost naked. If you had a look at our young white-breasted cormorants that we had over at Cormorant Cove. And then they develop these really downy feathers. And very much like the African penguin, they'll have their downy feathers, and then those silky waterproof feathers will come into play when they start to fledge. But thank you very much for your question. So we're having a nice look at our bank cormorants over there.
With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that?
Through the gap there is just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I'll tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
There's dolphins, there's dolphins, there's dolphins coming, there's dolphins coming. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm so sorry for making that a bit bouncy, Penguin Beaches. We have, I think I've just seen the start of a pod of dolphins. I'm not seeing them now. I think they've gone down. But we have some Cape gannets, so just over Cormorant Cove, there was a couple of Cape gannets, which I found quite funny because Eagle was here for 10 days and didn't see a single gannet. But then I saw some white water, so we'll just see if I pick up on it again. I'd seen it just behind where the cormorants were. I've not seen it since, but we've got lots of birds feeding, and when we have gannets, there we go, there we go. So there was just a splash. So I'll have a look. Did you manage to get that splash on camera, Jay? I'm looking through my binoculars. So there was a bigger splash. So if it is dolphins, then I think that they're feeding very deep down, because there was quite a large splash and then they've gone down again. So we're just going to keep our eyes on the ocean. Leonard, so that's a really good question. The answer is yes, they do. Oh, Jason's got the dolphins. Yay! We have, are they on screen? Yay, we have, okay, Penguin Beaches, it is so hard for me not to move. I have to literally consciously cement myself because I'm used to being on a boat, and on a boat, when you see dolphins, you jump. You don't stay still. You have to scream. I was getting a bit nervous because I thought that I was too excited, but there are dolphins, and these would be our common dolphins, which is my personal favorite species of dolphin. But they're feeding very deep down, so that's why they're only coming up every so often, which means the fish is very deep. So we're going to try our best to get you some views. But you can actually see the dolphins' footprints, so you can see the disturbed water for where the dolphins were hanging out. And hopefully they might move out from behind the rock. And this would be my first ever dolphin sighting on Penguin Beach, which makes me very happy. But when I saw the gannets, I will be honest, I saw gannets and I thought, oh, here's something different coming, because often when we have these gannets, not always, but often, we have our common dolphins. And I'm going to now tell Igor that the gannets don't like him. That's why they don't want to be on his shows. We'll have to see what he says to that. Very, very exciting. So common dolphins you find worldwide in temperate and tropical oceans. So they don't tend to like very cold seas, the Antarctic and the Arctic seas.
With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that?
Through the gap there is just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I'll tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
So there's a whale, there's the whale, and there's two seals, and there's a giant petrel that just flew past us. Oh my goodness. I don't know if that was in frame. I'm going to go have a look. So there's a Brutus whale around, there's dolphins around. I saw two seals, their flippers up around. So everything is a bit mad. We'll see what we can get into frame for you. There's the whale again, whale's up, Brutus whale. So Brutus whales are notoriously hard to watch and notoriously hard to capture on camera because they only come up 4 or 5 times and then they take a deep dive. And Brutus whales surface very sporadically, so where a lot of whales will sort of keep one direction. The Brutus whales do what they want. They're following fish, so they are coming up in different angles, different places. We will try to see if we can get you a sighting. And you'll notice I say Brutus, and you'll read it brides, and we are apparently supposed to pronounce it Bruder or Brutus because it is a Norwegian name. So it was named after, the Brutus whales are named after the first Norwegian whaler who came to South Africa to set up modern whaling here. Don't know where the dolphins have disappeared to, but if the fish are deep, it's very normal to lose animals in this vast, vast marine space. Benjamin, I do love that. I'd like to think so. The ocean does have a way of showing up when you need it to. If you speak to a lot of whale watching guides, I'm not having a particularly bad day, but very often if you're having a bit of a tough day, you have your best sightings. There's a blow from a whale just below the cormorants. So I think that's the Brutus whale. And this is the ocean showing up in its splendor. So we've seen several different marine species now. And you can be here every day at the same time and not have, oh, dolphin just jumped out the water. So you just see it's a very small pod of common dolphins that we have here. Because typically in a pod of common dolphins, you're going to see, you see them making marks on the water. They're very easy to watch. So my best guess with these dolphins is that we might have a scouting pod. So it's often the males who'll go and they'll scout out the fish. So you'll often have this small little pod come through. And then once they find what the fish that they're looking for, then the larger pod with the nursery pod where you have your moms and you have your babies, they will then come through after the scouting pods. It's not what I'm seeing. I can't wait to actually go back and look at the footage and see what we got. And I want to see, I don't know where Jason was looking, if we got the giant petrel, because that is a bird, that's a seabird that we have not had on the show. So the giant petrel, they're like the vultures of the ocean. They are such cool birds. They look like dinosaurs. So I'll let you know when I go check the footage if we did manage to get it on. Let you know tomorrow. So much action today. So I was saying before I changed my train of thought about the common dolphins.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
My name is Solomon Lovu. I am working at Simbita Kruger National Park. I am very excited today to be one of the guys that have been nominated or selected to participate in the Safari Guide of the Year. I'm an activator. I like studying something, motivating others to become better. I am positive. I like to focus on the positive sides of the situation.
So almost as quickly as the bait ball starts, it dissipates. Honey badger, such a good question. I've actually wanted to speak about this on the show before. And I'm gonna get Jason to come and look at me now, because and I have been on dives where before the dive, your dive instructor will go through every single animal that you'll see. So and water, what So just want to have a look quickly. Sorry, I think we lost some sound there, but it's back. So I was just doing the little moves that scuba divers do. And so when you're diving underwater, you can't communicate. So I'm just going to start again. Sounds like my microphone was having a bit of trouble, so I'm just going to start again. So Honey Badger has asked, what are the signs for whales and dolphins under the water? And I'm a scuba diver, I love diving, and I've been on boats where before the dive, your dive instructor will sit in front of you and give you all the animal signs. So turtle is like something like that. I don't think I'm right. Manta ray was something like that. to be honest, when people are communicating with me under the water, I have no idea what they're saying. What I do know is up, okay, not so okay, and then I know like the decompression stop, because I find the signs really tricky. If I had to say to somebody underwater and on boats, as crew members will sometimes gesture to each other, that is a whale. So that's a spout, and that's what we would use for whale. When I have seen dolphins underwater, I was very lucky. I was on Untitled Chapter, and what I did is I just had this feeling there was something. The water was quite murky, and I looked up and I saw the dolphin, and I went and I hit my, not hit, but I really roughly patted my dive instructor who was on the dive with me, and I squealed at him underwater. So you could try that. You could pat someone, squeal at them, and point up, and that might alert them to dolphins around. Dolphins, you could maybe do that, because dolphins swim like that. I don't think anything else would be dolphin. And then whale would be, that's a blow. So I hope that that was helpful, but generally in scuba, if you can't remember that, okay, not okay, we're going up. If you're not okay, point to what's wrong. So it could be your ears, it could be your stomach, you could be cold, but keep it simple underwater, because most of the time we don't know what's going on. Oh, and nudibranch is that. No, that's a lobster, sorry. That's a lobster, and then a nudibranch is like, what was it? I think it's also something crawly like that. So you can see it's a confusing thing. But enough of me and my strange gestures and the strange gestures of scuba life. I just saw another blow. So what I think has happened here with this bait ball, I think it was a fairly small bait ball by the time it reached us. So I want us to look at the ocean just to show you that from a moment of extreme activity, there is now almost nothing.
7 of our favorite furballs are ready to rumble and receive names as members of the Juma clan. And who better to name these cubs than you? This is Heart's cub, adventurous and brave, and daughter to one of our most loved mothers. Is her name Moya, meaning wind or soul, for that adventurous side? Is it Shiluva, meaning flower, for her growth? Or is it Mbilo, meaning heart, as Heart's daughter with a heart on her side? Head over to our website to cast your vote. 7 of our favorite furballs are ready to rumble and receive names as members of the Juma clan. And who better to name these cubs than you? This is Corky's cub, the boldest and proudest of the group. Is their name Koa, showing boldness, fearlessness, and bravery? Is it Kalula, as the energetic and speedy one? Or is it Zunani, the leader? Head over to our website to cast your vote.
While we are talking about whales and dolphins underwater, I think this is something that's really important to me. So in South Africa, whales and dolphins are protected species, and by law we are actually not allowed to swim with them here. And I think it's very important that we respect those laws, because there have been a lot of studies done where our behavior can impact whales and dolphins, and whale and dolphins in the water, with people in the water, are actually far more impacted than whales and dolphins who are being watched by boats. So if you are ever lucky enough to be in the water and there happens to be a whale or a dolphin, stay where you are, enjoy it. But what's best is that if they are around, it's best not to sort of swim towards them. It's best not to change their behavior. So if you're lucky to be in the right place at the right time, stay where you are and let the animals do what the animals want to do. But certainly in South Africa, you can actually get into a lot of trouble if you're found approaching whales and dolphins, either on a boat or in the water, because it is an illegal practice here, and that was done on best practice guidelines to ensure that we were respecting the wildlife that we watch. So, like I said, I have seen dolphins on scuba. I was on Alibol Shoal and we were quite low down, and I just had this feeling that there was something there, and I looked up in the haze and there was a small pot of bottlenose dolphins, and there was this little calf who looked at us, and I was so excited because it's been one of my dreams. But it's it's important that when we are working with wildlife, interacting with wildlife, even though we love it and we all want those experiences, to make sure that respect is at the forefront of what we're doing. And I do find, and you'll hear a lot of people agree, that the more that we respect animals, the more curious they become, the more relaxed they are. And whales and dolphins are interested in us. We watch them, but they also watch us. They're very fascinated by people. Dolphins particularly like pregnant women because they like the 2 heartbeats. That really interests them. So they will certainly sometimes approach us in the water and sneak up on us. You wouldn't believe that a whale can sneak up on you, but from experience, it happens a lot, particularly on boats. But we're going to go back down to our penguins. Let's go to the beach. And in terms of whales and dolphins, there is a lot of crossover with Canada, because I said that is what we're doing today. So we have things like orca here. In Canada, you have very distinct ecotypes. Oh, the dolphin just jumped out the water again. Beach bunny. So you're asking where the calf, as in the, those dolphins are all jumping now. Sorry guys, we're just going to go have a look because the dolphins were jumping out the water. So we're just going to see if we can get them on frame again. They are super far. We'll see. So if you look at the Hermanus Mountain, just to the right of the Hermanus Mountain, there's that sort of curving mountain down. So that's an interesting question. The kelp. So the kelp reproduces by spores. So what happens is that with the kelp, the plant will release male and female spores, and then that Brutus whale just came up. So it's super far. We're just going to keep our eyes on that mountain and see what we can show you. So they'll release the spores into the ocean, and then the males will fertilize the female spores, and then you'll have a baby kelp plant who will attach to a hard surface. And so most of the animals in the intertidal zone will actually reproduce and sort of colonize by what we call broadcast spawning. So they'll send out a lot of babies, a lot of sperm, and then what they want to have happen is actually that the tide brings it back in. So it's quite a complex thing. It's something I would like to do on the show one day, in the intertidal zone, talk about it a little bit more. So the birds are still feeding on their bait ball, and there was a whale around. I think we are going to move back to the penguins and just see, because it's really tough when the fish are deep because the animals are deep.
7 of our favorite furballs are ready to rumble and receive names as members of the Djuma clan. And who better to name these cubs than you? This is Ntima's first cub, and they're turning out to be quite the handful. Is their name Loki, after the Norse god of mischief and trickery? Is it Hlongavi, the one who can't be tamed? Or is it Shihleko, full of giggles? Head over to our website to cast your vote. 7 of our favorite furballs are ready to rumble and receive names as members of the Djuma clan. And who better to name these cubs than you? This is Ntima's second born, and dare we say golden child, full of fun? Is their name Kira, the beam of light? Is it Kemba, meaning faithful in Norse? Or is it Mikateko, the blessed one? Head over to our website to cast your vote.
we are keeping our eyes on the open ocean to see what the animals might do. In the background you have the town of Houston, which is a fishing village, and just behind Houston then you would have Hermanus. And Hermanus was voted the best place to watch whales from land in the world a couple of years back, because it's got very high cliffs. And so you can see the whales very close to shore. And those are particularly the southern right whales that won Hermanus that title. And in Canada, where Arctic Circle stays, you would have the North Atlantic right whale. I think what we might be seeing is actually that whale is lunge feeding, because there's a lot of white water that comes up every time the whale does. And we are very hopeful that we'll be showing you more whales as season really kicks in. Lena, so that's a really good question. So right whales love their babies right on the shoreline. They give birth very close to shore. And the shallowest I've seen whales is about 4 meters of water. So I've seen whales in areas where our boat could not go to because the boat couldn't handle how shallow it was. So with particularly southern right whales, they like to give birth in sandy bays that are very nice and sheltered. And for right whales, southern right whales, the closer to the shore they are, the better. Humpback whales, I think, do it in their breeding grounds as well. They'll go very shallow. They'll go onto coral reefs and things. Brutus whales are a little bit different. So Brutus whales are, they prefer slightly deeper water. So if you're really looking out for Brutus whales, and if you can't find them in shallow water, because now the fish is shallow, and so we're watching them in shallow water. But when you're looking for Brutus whales and humpback whales in South Africa, you want to get to a 50-meter depth mark, because you're more likely to see these whales when the water gets down to 50 meters. And I was chatting to some birders here the other day that say that in Birdies Bay there is quite a quick drop-off to 50 meters, which can be quite nice when it comes to seeing animals that like deeper water. But the bays in this area in general are very shallow, so the depth of the bay, I'm not entirely sure about this one we're in right now, but Walker Bay, which is the bay over, as well as Van Dyke's Bay or Klein Bay, which is the next bay, both 50 meters in depth. You have to leave the bay to get deeper water. And so perfect for southern right whales. But when you're looking for humpbacks or Brutus whales, you want slightly deeper water. And so a young Brutus whale I've never seen in very shallow water. It's not to say that they wouldn't take their babies there if there was enough fish. So Brutus whales, they are where the fish are. So it's just like the bush when it comes to tracking. You have a whole set of different rules when you're tracking different animals. Jason got a blow. Jason's using my scuba signals now.
7 of our favourite furballs are ready to rumble and receive names as members of the Djuma clan. And who better to name these cubs than you? This is Ribbon's second born, with nicked ears and a softer heart full of adventure. Is their name Rangani, the adventurer? Is it Twela, the sensitive and empathetic one? Or is it Spirit, for that spirited soul we love so much? Head over to our website to cast your vote. 7 of our favourite furballs are ready to rumble and receive names as members of the Djuma clan. And who better to name these cubs than you? This is Ribbon's firstborn, distinct from their sibling by their full round ears and more curious nature. Is their name Matimba, meaning strength? Is it Shongela, the defender of the weak? Or is it Wiley, the crafty and cheeky one? Head over to our website to cast your vote.
I'm going to go and have to see what all we got, but if we got dolphins and we got a look at the Brutus whale, and if we have our African penguins in front of us, then today we would have seen 3 of the marine big 5. Now the original big 5 of the bush were the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt. But the marine big 5 in South Africa is our 5 most charismatic megafauna. So 5 really charismatic oceanic animals that we have living here. And I think most South Africans are very proud of their natural heritage when it comes to the bush. And I think that most South Africans are sometimes forget that this ocean is also our heritage. It's also our home. And I would love to see in the next 20 years South Africans embracing our ocean heritage in the same way that we do our land heritage. I think it is, it's happening, and I think when we had the potential of a seismic survey on the Wild Coast, that's when it really came out in full force, where South Africans were saying, this is our heritage, we want to protect it. And that for me was extremely beautiful. I actually get a bit teary every time I think about it, because I just saw people from all over the country saying, like, we want to protect this ocean. And I was mentioning before that we are coming into whale season, so I've already started to see on Clarence Drive on the way to Betty's Bay. I've seen several humpback whales now, so the humpback whales are migrating to Mozambique and Madagascar. See next, so that's a really good question. So it is the whales, dolphins, seals, penguins, and then sharks. So in this particular region of the Overberg, we've got 3 different species of whale, 4 different species of dolphin. Sharks, we have a ton. Really many different species of shark, ranging from the size of the great white shark all the way down to your shy sharks, which would be probably the puff-adder shy shark would be the smallest. Seals here, you can see the Cape Fur seal. Very occasionally we get an elephant seal, and there has been the occasional leopard seal that's washed up. And then penguin, of course, the African penguin. A couple of years ago we had that king penguin in Cape Town. But that marine big 5 are all species that you could spot right here in these bays of the Overberg. So the Brutus whales are our residential whale species, so they don't migrate, they just follow the fish up and down the coast, where our southern right whales and our humpback whales are both migratory. They spend their summer months in sub-Antarctica feeding, and they spend their winter months along our shoreline. But very recently, a southern right whale from South Africa was tagged and tracked all the way to Argentina. That's one of the things I love the most about whales, is that whales, we write the books. We say whales do this, and whales say, well, we do what we like. Because it was never believed that our whales would go to South America. It wasn't believed that the populations were intermixing. And one of the things I love about our ocean is that we're learning new things every single day.
Seven of our favorite furballs are ready to rumble and receive names as members of the Djuma clan. And who better to name these cubs than you? This is Swazi's cub, our surprise wanderer. Is their name Saga, meaning story in Icelandic? Is it Matimu, for history made? Or is it Masingita, the surprise? Head over to our website to cast your vote.
So Jason, keeping our eyes peeled to the ocean, see what we could spot for you all. Oh, okay. I think the whale just lunged. Just seen a bit of white water. So it's right by the edge of Horston towards the left. So as Horston is ending, that was the last place the whale came up. And I have just had a thought. The owner of WildEarth, Graham, is a very passionate scuba diver. So I do wonder what he's going to think of my very awful signalling of the manta ray and the turtle. And I started off yesterday's show with a quote from the song Calypso by John Denver, and I mentioned yesterday as well that it was believed that the ocean was a silent world, but there is so much noise beneath the surface. Most of the animals underwater actually communicate primarily with sound because it travels so much further than sight or than smell. I think it's the most reliable sense underwater, if you're not an echolocator. It's so interesting to see that there is a lot of fish out there, and these penguins on the shore don't seem at all interested in joining the party. There's been days where we've been out here and we've noticed that the penguins were all kind of heading out towards the bait balls. Very often we'll actually have times at sea where you go out and you'll have a massive bait ball and you won't see a single African penguin. We don't always know how they decide whether or not they're joining in on the hunt or not. Let's have a look at our penguins on the shore. We've got one little guy who's just come in on a rock. I want to see if he's going to jump or if he's going to keep his spot there. So we are at Oyster Catcher Cove. Penguin is likely going to jump off that rock. We're going to keep watching him. And we've only got a few minutes left, but I wanted to say to Arctic Circle, so you have the black oyster catcher in Canada and we have the African black oyster catcher here. So many seabirds are similar. You have ruddy turnstones and whimbrels, and we see them a lot during our summer months. So the ocean is the great connector. And I think with your land animals, there's a lot more variation. The animals have adapted very differently. But in the ocean, very often the animals that I'm seeing here, you can see in the Azore Islands off of Portugal. You can see in Monterey Bay, California.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to bushwise field guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
like a very exciting week over in the bush, because we have a lot of the WildEarth originals around. So Ali's around, Trishala's around, Taylor's around. And I can't help but notice that for the next week we only have female naturalists. All the boys are gone. But Taylor is going to be looking for some lions and walking around to see what else the bush has in store for her. Charlotte is going to be on Wendy, and she's getting used to the bush again. It takes quite a while to kind of settle into it if you've been out. I'd be curious to see for myself how long it would take me. And Ali is going to just take it easy. She's going to have a bumble and see what there is in the bush today. So I'm very excited to watch the girls this hyena week and see what they have to say about the den. I'm sure they're all very excited to be spending time with these hyenas. When you haven't seen animals that you've worked with for a long time, it's like coming home to old friends. I have that with these Humphrey dolphins that I worked with. There's about 30 in the area where I used to work, and occasionally they'd come over into the bay over. And you do get extremely attached to the wildlife that you work with. I hope you guys have had fun today. We had a bit of a different show. That whale is still blowing. It's now moved much closer towards Betty's Bay. And the Brutus whales move very fast compared to the other two whale species that we see here, because they follow the fish. But I've had a great time with you, and we've got 10 more wonderful days. Jason and I were chatting, and I think we might have a look at some aloes during these 10 days. We might go have a look at the shell midden, because this was an early man site where people used to certainly de-shell their shellfish. The boardwalk might just be a little bit wobbly. Jenna, it really was, and I can't help but think that poor Igor is going to be very sad. He gets horrible FOMO, so I think he's going to be quite sad that he missed out on all of this. But I think we've had an amazing day. I'm going to go have a look. I'm going to do a species count. So I'm going to look at the show and then do a species count of exactly all of what we got into frame today. And then I'm going to mention it on the show tomorrow. And I've mentioned some of the animals that we might get in Canada that we also get here. So there's a lot of crossover with the ocean. What I didn't mention was the shearwaters. So you get things like the Corrie and the Sooty shearwater. We would also see in our waters here.
Are you a fan of the Djuma clan? If the answer to this is yes, then you are cordially invited to our Hyena Hullabaloo starting on the 13th of June. During this week, we want to take a trip down memory lane. Please send in your favorite Djuma clan moments to hyena@wildearth.tv by the 7th of June, and we will dig into our archives and try our hardest to play it out during this week of hyena celebrations. Long misunderstood as dim-witted, gluttonous scavengers, the hyena over the years has had a serious PR crisis on its paws. Here at WildEarth, our beloved Djuma clan has allowed us a chance to set the record straight.
We're sitting here with the Djuma clan.
So now it's time to honor this critical animal and join our Hyena Hullabaloo. Trishala Naidu, a self-confessed hyena lover, will be leading the celebrations, culminating in a chance to name Ribbon's new cubs.
We only have a couple minutes left in today's show. We spent most of it staring at the sea. It has been a really lovely one, a very unexpected surprise to have all these animals pop up for us, and so early in the show. I think we actually spend most of our show with these wonderful sea creatures that are not often actually seen from Betty's Bay. So that was really nice of us to be able to show that to you. I think they were saying, hello Jason, like welcome back to Penguin Beach. On behalf of Jason and I, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to spend an hour with us. We hope that you enjoyed it like we did, and we will see you again here tomorrow at 1:30. But let's spend our last few minutes giving our penguins some attention. They've had a very relaxed day. They've missed out on all the fishing and all the action. I do hope the rest of your afternoon is as chilled as the penguins' afternoon seems to be.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.